It's that time again. The best day of the week, Slasher Sunday. Well, it's the best day of the week for me anyway. And I know some of you really enjoy this as well. Before I start this, I want to give an enormous happy birthday to my beautiful twin daughters, Oliver and Elliot. Daddy loves you so very much. No, they don't watch these videos, but maybe one day they will, okay? So happy birthday, angels. I love you. Now let's talk about murder, death, gore, tits, and all that shit. Honeys, turn this off if you are watching this. Okay, anyway. So, today we are going to talk about one of the greatest slasher films of all time. Pieces. I always raise this like it's a secret, it's a surprise, and it's like, you know what the title of the video is. I fucking say it on the thing, but I don't know. I don't know that yet because I haven't posted the video, so in my head it's like a surprise. But whatever, it's Pieces, and it's the 4K Grindhouse release transfer. One of the and another thing, it has seriously like the greatest taglines ever. You don't have to go to Texas for a chainsaw massacre. This is so great. And also, I don't know if it says it on this one. Yeah, it's exactly what you think it is. I mean, it's just awesome. Just awesome. How can you not like this movie? It is just pure fucking awesomeness. All right, so what I find crazy about this movie more than anything is, as a big Mystery Science Theater 3000 fan, one of my very favorite episodes of Mystery Science is Pod People. And this is the same director as Pod People. For anyone who has seen Pod People on Mystery Science or otherwise, it's crazy to think. And he made Pod People the year after he made this. Like 1 year later, he made this. And Kendall from this movie stars in the next one as Rick. It stinks. Like, it's crazy to me that this is the same director. Now, I love Pod People because of Mystery Science Theater 3000 and all the hilarious lines. Trumpy, you can do stupid things. Like, I can quote that fucking thing all day. The Mystery Science Theater 3000 part of it, anyway. But anyway, let's get into the movie. I don't want to talk too much about that, but I can't help myself want to talk about that. Now, this movie starts off with a kid making a puzzle of, spoilers obviously, making a puzzle of a naked woman, and his mother comes in and she learns the two valuable lessons. Number one, never take a boy's pornography from him. And number two, you don't get to know number two because you're dead. You don't take pornography from a fucking boy, okay? She was just asking to get axed. She axed for it. Yeah, I'm going Crypt Keeper puns today. Why not? The movie was actually originally... Now, this is the first time... This copy has the 86-minute, which is 3 minutes longer, Spanish version. Now, I watched this in Spanish tonight, and I definitely want to talk about that for a minute, in a little bit here. But this is the first time I've watched it in Spanish. And I'm not exactly sure what the extra 3 minutes were, to be honest. I didn't really... There's like a dance scene with these like girls that are practicing their dance moves and whatnot. I don't remember that, but it might have been in the original cut, or the other cut, should I say, that I've seen, because I've seen this movie a bunch, and I just don't remember that. I couldn't really place all that much new. I was expecting like tons more gore and whatnot. 3 minutes. I mean, if it was like 3 straight minutes of gore, I would have noticed. So it isn't. I don't know what it is. But anyway, this movie was originally, and I didn't know that until tonight when I watched the Spanish version, but this movie was actually called The Night Has 1,000 Screams, which Pieces works better because of the ending of the movie and what he is actually doing and the fact that he's cutting people up, and it's just a great title. I mean, it's just a great title all over. It works all around as a horror title, as part of the film itself. It goes to it. So yeah. And then I love after he kills his mom with an axe. He just, like, we see a child brutally hacking his mom up with a fucking axe, and then we cut to him with a saw cutting his mother's body up. I mean, you would never see that today. You just would never see that today, ever. And then the kid's a genius. I mean, this is set in like 1946 or something in Boston, and the cops are coming, and he immediately runs into the closet, even though he's covered in her blood, runs into the closet, starts crying, and then when I get there, he's just like, oh my God, it was a big, large man. It was some Puerto Rican guy. Any South Park fans out there? Yeah, it was such a, it was like the perfect crime. Just be a little kid, murder somebody, and then run and hide and be like, oh my God, it was, some big dude. Who's going to not believe him? And you just have to. It's the perfect plan. The music. Now, I know that the music was re-recorded for this. I thought I read on there. If I remember correctly, I'm not going to sit here and read too much of this right now, but I swear I read that. And, oh man, the music in this is fabulous. I just love it. This is basically like a Spanish giallo ripoff, but done really well. Just really well. Now, of course, with most of these movies, you have to throw away all logic and all reason in all sense. Like, none of this makes any sense. There's so many things that you're just like, what the fuck? And I can't wait to get to one of them, because there's the most random scene ever. And I'm not talking about the ending. But anyway, let's move on. Now, something I want to talk about with the Spanish version is, number one, the movie does not feel as cheesy or silly in Spanish. Now, the movie is in English. Like, it was recorded in English. The dialogue was definitely in English. But because it was a Spanish filmmaker, it was, this was dubbed in Spanish for the full-length version. I really wish they had the English version, because a lot of the times you don't want the dubbed version, but the Spanish version is the dubbed version, technically. But the English version, the voice actors, I don't know if those are the actual voices of the actors themselves, or the whole thing was like ADR, or if they were like completely different voices from the actors themselves. I don't know. But the voices we hear in the original cut that I'm used to are so cheesy. Especially like the famous line with the two famous lines, should I say, from two different girls within the movie. Like the most beautiful thing in life is smoking pot and fucking on a waterbed at the same time. And that line in this movie, as well as bastards, bastard. I said the first one like it was plural, but I didn't mean to. Just bastard. One single bastard. But in this version, she says like smoking pot and doing it on a bed, or like something along those lines. So that dialogue's different. And then when she says bastard in it, and it's like in Spanish, it's like Bastiard or something like that, but the subtitles read animal. Now, I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know what the Spanish word for animal sounds like. I don't think it's that, but I just saw it. It was interesting, because there was dialogue that was pretty different. And as I said, it just didn't feel as cheesy. It just didn't feel as stupid. Like, every time I've ever watched this movie before, I never took it seriously at all. Like, I was always just like, oh, this is a silly, stupid, fun movie. And while it is, in this watch, it's a little more serious. And with the really great music that it has, and the much better voice acting, it just flows so much better, and it actually kind of feels like a legitimate movie. Like it feels like something you could actually take seriously. You have to throw away logic, as I said, but it's not actually that bad. Great bad. When the Spanish is on, so that was surprising watching it this way. I would prefer to be in English because I don't want to constantly be looking down on subtitles, especially if the movie was recorded in English, shot in English. I do like seeing films in their native tongue, like whatever they've filmed it in, that's the way to watch it. Otherwise, it's always like Godzilla movies. But yeah, the voice acting is so much better than what we got. So it's fuck, man, it's tough. It's a toss-up on that. Anyway, now, I love how the guy who plays the caretaker on the grounds, who is Bluto in the Popeye movie with Robin Williams and Shelley Duvall. God, that guy was just born to be Bluto. He looks exactly like the cartoon, and it was just the perfect casting ever. I like how after he's out there and he's looking around after the girl's been murdered, he looks over and there's just this couple that are fucking right in the middle of the park in broad daylight on a school campus during, as I said, the day. What? I mean, I've had sex in some pretty incredibly crazy places, but I don't think I've ever just been having sex in the middle of a park during the day, during school hours, on the school campus that I go to. I mean, I don't have any proof that they actually go there as students, but more than likely they do. Man, those are just bold ass kids that they're into. That's, yeah, wow. And another thing, I mean, here's what I always say when it comes to slasher movies. What we watch these for, in addition to plenty of other things, but like the main things that we're looking for are tits and graphic gore violence. And this movie has it in spades. There's gratuitous nudity and gratuitous violence and fucking just over the top blood, gore, like no shying away from shit. People cut in half, bodies stuck in the corner, their innards are splayed everywhere, bodies cut up into pieces laid out everywhere, strewn, arms being cut off of women. Like, it is violent. There's a reason that this says, warning, due to its shocking and violent subject matter, no one under 17 should view this film. Not like without parent or guardians or anything. No, period. No one under the age of 17. I sure was watching it before I was 17, though. I also love the look of the killer in this. I wrote a script years ago about these trench coat monsters, and I just love that idea. And there's plenty of other films with trench coats killers, but I really like the way this is. It's like he has the trench coat on, and it's like pulled up to his face here, probably blocking my audio. And then like he has the hat on, and it covers like his eyes and everything, and then all you see is just his mouth and the trench coat. It's such a cool look. And I love, yeah, as I said, I adore the look of the killer in this movie. The fact that he's able to catch a girl in a pool strainer and pull her forward, like, I love that she has a bathing suit on before she gets in and then just randomly takes it off and throws it away. It's like, you wore a bathing suit to the pool to go in, and then you got there and you're just like, I'm going to take it off anyways. I mean, it was just so blatant, like, we're looking for nudity, we're just going to throw it in. No complaints. But anyway, he's got the strainer, and he grabs this girl by the head, and he's pulling her towards him, and she's serious. Like, not only does he get her there without her just swimming down, like, it would be so easy to get out of that. But then he pulls her out, she protests not at all when he's pulling her out of the water, and then she's like dazed and like can't even move because she's like almost knocked out from that. He stuck a fucking pool strainer over her head and pulled her forward. That incapacitated her? Really? And then he turns on a chainsaw and he comes at her, and she doesn't even like try to do anything. She's just like, Yeah, I love it. I love it. Who cares? And then Bluto gets framed for this, and he beats the shit out of everybody before the cop pulls a gun and sticks it to his head. But man, he is a beast. He went straight beast mode. He was rocking these guys. Then we get the tennis pro turned cop turned undercover agent who's going to be training the students at tennis, which she never ends up doing. She's only just plays a match with one girl, and then we never see her doing any of that again. But it's so far-fetched. Like, this girl who's known by everyone, like this, when Kendall meets her, he's like, oh my god, I've watched every one of your matches. She is clearly like a celebrity of some sort, like in the tennis world. And she then it becomes what, a cop? I don't even know what she does there. I'm guessing she's like, she works there in some capacity. I don't think it's stated what she actually does there, but enough to go undercover. Now, I could say like, well, in order for her to go undercover, she has to be a cop, right? Well, the cops let Kendall do about whatever the fuck he wants. He takes point in one of the scenes. The cops go with him to a scene, you know, like they hear screams and they're trying to get in, and they open the window and they let Kendall jump in and then open the door for him. And then when they come in, he's running point in front of them and he's like pulling the door open. And then when they find her dead body, he tells the cops what to do. He's like, all right, you go do this. And they're like, yeah. And they run off. And then later at the very end of the movie, he comes with them to save the day. And they're like, all right, this is where, you know, you stop. And he's like, oh, you can't stop me now, man. Come on, please. And he's like, all right, but you stay behind us. And they let him come in as they're raiding the place and they're shooting. Like, it's so ridiculous. No fucking way. Oh, God. And then, like, they even, like, bring in the biology teacher to look at the evidence to tell them if this was cut up by a chainsaw. It's like, you don't have anybody who works there? Like, a forensics investigator or, you know... Come on. Really? You're going to go grab the fucking... So stupid. That's great. And then this girl comes up to one of the cops, and she's like, I have some information on the what's going on here. And he's like, what are you talking about? There's nothing going on here. And he just walks away and leaves. And it's like, this girl came up to you with potential information to catch this killer, and you just waved her off. Because what? You didn't want to admit that there was something going on in the school grounds? Like, somebody came up to you with potential evidence, and he just is like, nope. These guys are fantastic cops. Letting civilians run around with them and play detective and putting tennis pros out in the field and letting people contaminate evidence all over the place is just so stupid. Oh, God. And then this girl gets in an elevator, and the guy's coming in, and he hides. This chainsaw in this movie is huge, man. And he hides this chainsaw behind his back, sneaking into a small space in front of her in an elevator. She's staring straight at him as he gets into this very small elevator, and he's walking at her, and as we pass, he's like having to like finagle his way in because the opening is so small that he can barely get through it, and we can see he has a chainsaw behind his back, and you know, the space that they're in inside that elevator is got to be 4 feet across, if not smaller, so they're like almost face to face, and somehow he pulls the chainsaw out and fucking turns it on before she even reacts. Yeah, that's artistic liberty right there. And there's so much in this movie, but there's... Ah, God. I love this movie. So much more to talk about. This is going to be a long video. But all the best ones are, right? All the best movies get their time. I can't miss anything. And... let's talk about this scene. So the tennis pro is walking down. This is the most random fucking scene. This reminds me of like pancakes in Cabin Fever. It's basic. I almost have to believe that Eli Roth got that from this movie. Just random kung fu out of nowhere. It has to be, because he's even quoted on the back here. Like Eli Roth, somewhere on here. I saw his name. Maybe on like the inside cover or something. Yeah, he's somewhere on here. And I know he loves this movie. So it had to get it from that. But yeah, she's just walking down, and then randomly, out of nowhere, this Asian dude comes out and starts kung fu fighting her. And then she kicks him in the balls, which like completely knocks this guy fucking out. Like he's on the ground and he is just incapacitated. He cannot move. He is done for. And then Kendall comes up on his motorcycle, which sounds like a chainsaw, which I thought was a really cool little thing. And she's like, "Can you not ride that thing? It sounds like a chainsaw." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. That's cute." It's like a dirt bike. And then he's like, "What's going on here?" And she's like, "I was attacked." And his response is to laugh at her because she was attacked. And then the Asian dude stands up and he's like, "That's just my martial arts teacher." And she's like, "Oh." And he's like, the martial arts guy's just like, he's like, "Oh man, I thought I heard something, and then I thought I was gonna be attacked, but then I see now that it wasn't." And it's like, you didn't notice that it was this chick who was like, what the hell? As you were like fighting her for like a good 20 seconds and doing kung fu moves on her. And then they all just laugh it off. She's like, oh, it's you thought I was someone else. I apologize. Okay. And they laugh, and he walks away, and he's just like, "Bye." And that's it. That scene ends. You would never ever see that in any other movie. This is that one movie. What the fuck? Amazing. Anyway. Oh God. I also love that the girl's looking around, and she's like nervously looking around the place, and she goes and she opens up the door to a sauna, and inside the sauna, laying in plain sight, is a huge bloody chainsaw. And she doesn't react to it. She doesn't say anything. Nothing. She just is like, closes the door and keeps walking away. Really? You see a bloody chainsaw laying inside there and nothing? Now, they never tell anybody on campus. They don't tell anyone anything. No one even knows that murders are going on in this film, which is extremely incompetent on their part. Like, that is crazy. Like, every one of these people who died after the first victim is partially their fault. Like, when I say partially, I mean like a lot. They didn't warn them at all. It is so extremely irresponsible of them to not tell anybody. And he even denies it to the one girl who's trying to give him evidence. Like, nothing's going on here. Nothing's going on here. And then like 3 more people die. Jesus Christ. And then that girl that ignores the chainsaw, he's like stabbing her on the waterbed, which is really fucking cool looking. And then he hits her in the back of the head. Before it like goes through her mouth, you can see the knife hit the back of her head and clearly just bend right off to the side because it's like a rubber knife. It's funny how they didn't cut that out, like right when it gets to her head, like edit it to the knife coming out the front. It would have looked seamless. It would have looked great. It would have looked gory and graphic as fuck. But if you're paying close attention, it clearly bends out of the way, and it's not like you just see it for like a millisecond and you're like, "Oh my god, I think I saw it bend." No, it like bends, and it's on screen still bent in the back of her head for like at least a half a second, if not almost a full second. That was horrible editing, but it made me laugh out loud, and I really like that waterbed scene. It just looks great. And something I thought was really odd is, and I don't know if this was kind of to get around rights issues, but they were eating Wendy's in this movie. And I looked on my phone through Google to see if this was a thing, but it just said Wendy hamburgers. And it had the logo, and it was a yellow cup, and it had all the same writing and everything. But it just said Wendy, not Wendy's. Apostrophe S. It was weird. Not really something worth mentioning, but clearly I thought it was enough to spring it up. I don't know. Was that a way to get around, like, licensing issues? Like, you're not allowed to use our shit in the movie? I mean, couldn't you just use something generic or turn the label so we don't see them? Or did Wendy's used to be called Wendy? I looked, and I couldn't find a damn one thing that said Wendy anywhere. So, anyway, that was completely pointless, but I noticed it. And then they go to save the day, and Kendall comes in with them, as I said, which is insanely stupid. And then they barely check the house, and they leave. There's two of them, and they both leave Kendall with the victim, who is still, not able to move at all. She keeps trying to point out the guy with her eyes, like I don't know what they thought she was doing there. But they both run off to go do something for some reason, leave him behind without sweeping the house, like, at all. And then he comes out, and he's attacking him, and Kendall almost dies, and he has, like, the knife, like, this close. And the guy comes, and he does, like, the fastest draw. He is quick. He is accurate. He's just like, bam! And, like, the guy's head just boom right here, and he's dead. And then the detective and Rick, this isn't Pod People, Kendall, are just laughing. He's like, oh man, he almost got you. And he's like, yeah, he almost did. Like, you're right. They laugh it off. It's ridiculous. So good. And then we find out that throughout the movie, which is, you can kind of figure out, he's assembling the puzzle, and he's also creating this Frankenstein girl out of pieces from all these other girls to try to recreate his mother, who he misses now from killing when he was a child. I think he's only like 7 or 8, maybe 10 at best in the first, so like he'd be 50 now because this is 40 years later. I guess he looks about 50, so that's about accurate. But then they find the bookcase, it flips around, the body falls on him, and then even after that happens, they still are kind of like chuckling it off as they leave. And then the most ridiculous ending ever. I mean, everybody has to... I literally, my jaw dropped the first time I saw this. Out of nowhere, this movie goes completely like supernatural. And this is like the dead corpse of 5, 6 different girls comes alive. Hand comes up out of the freaking tarp that's been put over her, and she rips Kendall's dick off. And he screams, end credits. That's a fucking way to end your movie right there, okay? That's an ending, people. Take note, when you make a movie, rip some dicks off, credits. That's how you do it. What a fantastic fucking film. That's karma, Kendall. You fucked that girl earlier in the movie, and she wanted your comfort, and he was like, oh, all you girls are the same. You all cry, and like, it's like people are being murdered. And this chick is scared, and she wants your comfort, and she just fucked you, and you're not even allowed. And then he just leaves her behind. She's just like, you're all the same. All you men just want what you want, and then when you get it, you just leave us behind. Well, you can't do it no more, Kendall, because you ain't got no dick. Karma, bitch. Anyways. Oh, all right. 30 straight minutes on this fucking masterpiece. All right, guys. So tomorrow, I am leaving to take my girls to Disneyland for their birthday, and but I'll be on the road, and they go to bed pretty early, so I have no doubt I will be watching plenty of films and reviewing from the road. If anyone's still here, anyway, this is a long ass video. So, but man, what a fucking blast this movie is. This is like 1/3 of the movie. All right, guys. Good night. Happy Slasher Sunday.